So the four principles that we actually talk about from a lean perspective is one piece flow, zero defects, takt time, and pull. I'll take pull because that's an interesting one. Pull is where the downstream process pulls the work. So I'm done with the work, I pull the next one, and then I start working again. Whereas the push concept, which most people are familiar with, is I'm just going to build it and they will come. So I'm going to go up there and overproduce in the thought process that I'm going to sell it. But what if you don't sell it?
So does the pull come from the customer themselves?
The pull comes from the customer themselves. So think about the supermarket concept. The supermarket concept is the individual, the stock is on the shelf, and the individual pulls from the shelf what they actually want, and they place it in their shopping cart, and then that's what they do. They don't put anything extra than what they want or what they need. So that's the pull concept.
I'll go through one piece flow. One piece flow is about working at things one at a time. If you don't work one at a time as you went through a downtime, you'll have extra inventory, extra requirements. The idea of one piece flow is start with one task and finish it to the end. You have multiple people working on it, but going one at a time. So then you have less inventory. So an example might be, say you're making a chair, because we have that in the game. If you're making a chair, there's no point in having 3 half-made chairs and the fourth one's complete. You keep running between activities, you're moving extra motion and all these other things occur. Extra motion, extra transport, because you're like, oh, I've got through that much of that chair, now I need to go that chair to that one, I need to go, this one needs this piece. No, the idea is to go one piece, so get one chair, make the whole thing, pass it along. You'll find you'll actually get through more chairs because you're not swapping between activities as much, and you have less inventory. You only need a spot for one chair rather than 3 chairs in your workspace. So it uses less space. You can have tools, one set of tools for that one area. So it's about just concentrating, working on one thing at a time.
I'll take the takt. I'll take takt. Takt is that German word for beat or flow. If you're a musician, you know takt time, so that takt meter that keeps everybody timing together from a musical standpoint. But everything has a beat. Everything has a flow. So the customer, in terms of a production system, let's say the customer has a requirement for 8,000 items. So they're ordering 8,000. You have the capability to produce 1,000 per hour. So in order to meet my total customer's demand, I'm going to, based on my resources that I have available, the customer demands 8,000. I'm going to break that 8,000 based on the available hours that I actually have to do the work. I'm going to then create 1,000 per hour, or an 8-hour day to meet the customer demand. I'm not going to create, 1,250, because then that creates something close to about 12,000. I'm going to go up there and create just what the customer needs.
The part of Takt as well is balancing out of work. So if every hour we're supposed to pull out 1,000, but you have 20 people working on the front end and only 5 at the back end, and 20 people smashing out the work, their half, but when it gets the other half, it's just piling up and piling up. That's when your Takt is not in line. Everyone's not following the beat of what needs to occur. That's when you spread out your resources. Is everyone following that every hour we're going to get through 1,000? So each person knows I need to get through a piece at this rate. And if one person goes, you know what, I can't keep up with it, put your hand up. Someone else might be like, well, I can get through 2 at that rate. So, okay, you can partially work between these 2 areas. It's to help balance out what's the rate of activity across the whole thing. Not just an individual task, but across the whole
This is exactly the point when going that one piece flow. So you know what the customer is actually expecting. You know what resources you have. You know how productive your resources are with regards to producing that service or that material. You then balance that. You balance your line or you're balancing your work in such a way where you can meet the customer's demand. At the end of the day, it's all about how do you meet the customer's demand and shorten that time period between them getting their product and you getting paid for the services that you got.
The last one we've got is zero defect. Zero defect speaks for itself. The idea is there's no point of working fast or getting a lot done if you have issues with each product. You can give it out to your customer's asking for size 11 shoes and you give them size 8. They didn't ask for that. You gotta just get it back and you have to do some more work. Or they're looking for a red chair, you gave them a green chair. Well, you built the chair, tick. You built it to specification, tick, but it's the wrong color. So once again, that's a defect. You need to be able to work at a pace where you don't have many defects or have none, ideally. Because otherwise, the amount of time it takes to rework, so rework might be, you have to receive it back again. You have to inspect it. You have to go, how do I find that specific part that's off? Let me fix that. Doing all of that work takes a lot more effort than getting it right the first time. You'd rather slow down your whole process to get it done right the first time than have to deal with a whole lot of rejected orders, rejected work.
This is why we talk about quality at the source. If the individual is actually empowered to actually make the changes that they need to make, you get better quality at the source of where work is being created. So typically in a production line, individuals will then produce this. If they produce the defect, do you allow that defect to go down the road, or do you pull that defect back and correct the upstream process? Both of them cost, but which one costs the most? If I allow that defect, as Sagar said, to go down to my customer, now all of a sudden my reputation is in jeopardy. The quality of my product is in jeopardy.
And cost is not always money.
No.
It's reputation, it's
Absolutely.
time, it's effort, it's space,
It's
there's
warranties.
many other things.
And so it's going to cost me a whole lot more if that defect reaches the customer than if I was to address that defect within the production service early.